can you take me back to the beginning of your creative journey? Like, when did that start for you?
Come from a very artistic family, and so my parents encouraged my art practice outside of school from an early age. I grew up in Maryland, and I took classes at this local art institute, and all the way up through high school, the college level. But at that time, it was just a hobby, just an outlet. I always told myself I don't see a career as an artist. I want something that looks good on paper.
Yeah.
And I sort of buried that artist dream. Fast forward, I moved to San Diego. I'm a career working gal, so art really took a back seat. But after a couple years of not painting, I felt that absence.
Yeah.
So I started taking classes at the San Diego Art Academy in North Park. Then I transitioned to Art on 30th, where I am now. And I've been there since 2020, and I've been very devoted to art since 2020.
Nice. I feel like 2020 was so crazy for all of us because we were going through COVID, and a lot of us kind of had that moment where we were like, what am I doing?
Exactly, yeah, I was just in the lockdown days, in the stillness of not being forced to rush and have this go lifestyle that we're all very accustomed to just slow down and have a reprioritization shift of what's really important in my life, my relationships, those that are close with me, the people that I can't see right now, and what are my passions in this downtime when the world has come to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
My situation was a little different because I was working full-time as a creative services coordinator on the creative team at Reef Sandals, which is a pretty big surf lifestyle brand.
Yeah.
And I was laid off 3 weeks into the pandemic. Boom. Like anyone, it was very disappointing, thinking that it was due to personal performance when that wasn't the case at all.
Yeah.
And instead of commuting into the office 5 days a week, I switched gears and I was commuting into Art on 30th every single day to an empty studio. Nobody was there. I was in such a good creative flow and just getting lost in my work and just feeling ultra inspired despite what was going on, around the globe.
Let's take it back a little bit to your childhood. I know you said that you had a lot of like creative people in your family. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I feel very fortunate that I do come from a very creative family on both sides. On my dad's side, his uncle was a painter as well as a sculptor. My dad, while he is not an artist himself, he is an art appreciator, and he's also an art historian buff. I mean, this guy could probably teach art history at the collegiate level. I mean, there are just stacks and stacks of books on Picasso, Franz Marx, Kandinsky, Joan Mitchell, you name it. So he has a lot of feedback and input to my work, even though he's not an artist himself. And then on my mom's side, my mom is into the performing arts, so not visual artist, but very theatrical, also a singer, and grandmother and aunt are both oil painters.
Wow, that's amazing. Did you ever get into performing arts? Like, did you go through that, or have you always been like into painting a little bit more?
Well, you try a lot of different creative mediums as a kid in school, and yeah, I participated in school plays, but I think I got stage fright performing in front of an audience on stage. However, I did used to dance, so that is a performing arts in itself, and I was a competitive dancer, so I guess, I don't know, that was different. I did dial in, but now as an adult, something about painting is I like the privacy of it. I'm sort of creating in my own little bubble world where people aren't looking at me. And then I get to show off the finished piece, the end result. And I like that the painting takes all of the glory as opposed to the spotlight being on me if you're a singer or an actor or dancer.
So what made you want to like go back to painting again? Was there like an aha moment that you had, or like something that really made you go, I want to start doing this again? Can you think of that time?
Yeah, this was after I moved from Maryland. I was I was living at home, commuting into DC for work for about a year after college, and just really was unhappy, almost depressed, just couldn't imagine how this was going to be the next 40 years of my life. I just felt like even though I grew up in the mid-Atlantic, my personality or my values didn't really belong there. So I had a friend that was moving to California. He was from the Bay Area but wanted to move to San Diego. And I said, I've never been to San Diego, but that sounds cool from what I've seen about, what I've seen in California in movies, and that seems more my speed. Plus I always felt like a surfer girl at heart.
Yeah.
So when I moved, of course, the main focus was landing housing, landing a job. I was 22 years old, now I'm 30. I don't know if I could do it again if I didn't do it then, because you're just fearless at the time.
Yeah.
So it was really about getting established, just getting in the groove of what it's like to work full time and paying bills and really adulting, at its finest. So once I got in that groove, I was partying a fair amount, as 22-year-olds do, hitting, some rooftop bars and PB on Saturdays. Yeah, and so I was just in that routine, and of getting into surfing, really just dove headfirst into surfing. I mean, I committed. I was going like 5 days a week on my wave storm and the whitewash.
Nice.
Yeah, very, very kooky at first. And I felt like, all right, something's missing. This art practice used to be a substantial aspect of my life throughout high school, throughout college, and I'm settled here, I'm established enough. I need to revisit it.
Yeah. There's always that like lingering piece, I feel like, with artists. It's such a big part of who you are that if you're not performing it, if you're not doing it, you feel like there's a part of you that's missing.
It festers.
Yeah.
And now that I've been very consistent with my art practice since 2020, if I start to feel internally like I'm irritated or on edge, my tolerance with people is low, I have to ask myself, wait a minute, when was the last time I surfed? When was the last time I painted? And that's the medicine. Wow. I just have to go do those two activities, and I feel grounded again.
Yeah, oh, I love that. I'm glad that you brought up making time for surfing and painting, because that's so important to you. And I know you work as an artist and a project manager. How do you manage your time and juggle both roles?
It's tough. I struggle with it as a single person. I don't know how people do it juggling kids and their kids' schedules. For me, it really comes down to discipline. When I was working full time, I would paint 2 days a week. I would paint one weeknight and on Sundays generally. And when that weeknight rolled around, I was exhausted. I was zapped. The creative juices really weren't there. It's really easy to make excuses. I mean, I live in Ocean Beach. The studio is in North Park neighborhood of San Diego, and the traffic is awful during rush hour. So sometimes I wouldn't go. I would just blame it on the traffic. Oh, I don't feel like dealing with the traffic tonight. But wait for the traffic to die down, drive over there. The hardest part is really just starting, diving in. So I give myself grace. I slowly get into it, and even if I'm only there for an hour or 2 hours, so long as I'm there longer than the amount of time it takes to drive, I want to reward myself and congratulate myself for showing up to the easel.
Yeah.
I have since transitioned from full-time work to independent contractor work, so project by project, and that's really freed up a lot of my time.
Yeah.
I love that arrangement. It has given me a lot more autonomy, flexibility with my schedule, and time to devote to art. So I was able to expand the 2 days a week paint schedule now to up to 4, sometimes even 5.
Yeah.
So it's really showing up, and I just feel so much more motivated because I don't have the stressors like I used to with the full-time job.
Gotcha. When you have a job and then you're also working as an artist, I feel like you need to be creative in so many different ways. Do you have any tips on like getting past that hump if you're like feeling a little burnt out?
For me, if I'm not feeling a painting or I'm not motivated to create, I don't force it. Some people do, but I'm just not going to get the desired results that I want. So for me, that's an indication I need to go out into the environments that inspire me. So go on a beautiful hike under a tree canopy like we're here today, or get a good surf session in, and that's going to really reinvigorate me to overcome the burnout and get inspired. I think it's also helpful to work on different series, different styles. I have two very distinct styles. So my signature style is these surreal trees right here that definitely take a psychedelic skew with all of the beautiful organic forms. But I also have a totally different style that is more mixed media, abstract, surf and ocean focused, where there's a lot of imperfections, a lot of sweeping gestural motions, scribbly, graffiti-like mark making. So if I'm feeling burnt out in one area, it's just great to switch gears and lean into something that's totally opposite.
Yeah, I love that advice. I guess you are kind of a new artist. Were there any challenges that you faced, whether it just be like setting up the website or getting like the first series of your work done? Like maybe if I were to redo this again, I would have changed it, or anything that you can think of like that?
Yeah, it's a great question. The business aspects of becoming an artist and having branded material, website, social media presence and all that, that really wasn't too difficult for me because I come from a consumer brand, marketing, creative background. So I did that professionally, and it was nice to steal those strategies and learnings and apply it to my own brand. But I would say the hardest part was, number one, defining my style and figuring out what is my visual voice, to the point where if people look at a painting, they can go, oh yeah, that's Skye Silver. Because in the beginning, you want to experiment. You don't necessarily know your lane. So finding that is really important, because then that's going to inform series and getting collectors or gallery attention. And then overcoming imposter syndrome. That is a big one, because it's so easy to compare yourself. It's about finding your income streams. Where are you going to dedicate your attention? Are you going to sell direct? Are you going to be on marketplaces like Etsy? Are you going to exhibit in galleries? Do pop-up in-person fairs? You can get a lot of exposure depending on which avenue you pursue. You can't do it all, but if you pick a few strategic streams, then you can be successful.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You talked about finding like your signature. What did that process look like for you? I'm curious.
Yeah, it didn't happen overnight. It's not like I woke up and said, I had this dream that I was destined to paint wavy trees. It was more so I felt really inspired to paint the first one, and it got a lot of traction, a lot of attention. I ended up making an art print of that, and it was my best-selling art print. But I was still dabbling in other lanes. I mean, I come from a background of doing a lot of portraiture, very photorealistic portraiture. So I was determining, do I want to do more of that? And the answer was no. It was too stressful trying to make everything look perfect. But I learned of this concept. It's a Japanese term called ikaji. Hope I'm saying it correctly. But essentially, it's the alignment of what you're passionate about, what you're good at. Is there a need for it in the world, and are people willing to pay for it? And after I started getting a few of these trees under my belt, it became clear that that was my ikaji.
There are people who are kind of maybe in the same place as you that are like, I want to maybe transition to full-time, but I also have another job. I can see how someone else might also struggle in being a little like not as confident about their artwork. Do you have any message for them to say like, hey, your work is good enough even if you're not doing it full-time right now? You know?
Yeah, I think if you are double dipping, trying to up your art game on a professional level while working full time, that does not negate the quality of your work or your credibility at all. If anything, it's more impressive because you're juggling double the commitment. I would say it's okay to, if you do have long-term plans to maybe transition to full-time artist, but you're afraid, which I've certainly struggled with, you can take the long and slow approach. I always thought, well, I still had the stability of full-time jobs before layoffs happened. I always thought, okay, I'm gonna nurture the art slow and steady over a 50-year span, well, probably more like 30 or 40. And by the time I'm late 50s, early 60s, it'll be so developed, I will be a household name, that I'll then leave my full-time job, retire early, and just transition to my studio Skye Silver business and keep on working. But I'm so passionate about it, I don't see it as work, you know, it's joy. With my job loss that I've experienced, just sort of the luck of the draw, just how things went. I don't want to call it fate, but I do believe there were some universal signs that were ushering me in this direction. And I can imagine that it's very difficult to pull the plug on the security of a full-time job and take the leap. And so that's why I would recommend probably the slow and steady approach. But you're going to grind. You're not going to have a lot of free time. I mean, you have to prioritize. You're going to hang out with friends, or are you going to go out, or are you going to paint and burn the midnight oil, so to speak.
There is no timeline. You don't have to do things just by the books, you know? Like, if you want to create and if you want to paint, like, just go for it and do what you can in the time that you have is, I think, a good way to go about it. But it doesn't mean that your art is any less valuable or beautiful than someone who's doing it full time. So I just wanted to bring that, you know.
Another thing, find resources that will support you in making that transition. So for example, since January, over the last 6 months, I've been participating in the Art on 30th mentorship program. I believe they changed the name to Keys to the Art World, but the professional mentorship program. And so this is a group that meets weekly with a full-time professional artist in Southern California. We, as the mentees, we learn the business aspects of being a full-time artist, as well as developing your visual voice and your style. And it is really geared towards people that are serious about taking the plunge full-time, or at least elevating art from a serious hobby to business while also working. So have an action plan, and I'm very type A. I'm not the kind of person to just jump off the cliff and do it, but educate yourself, find resources, find programs like Art on 30th's mentorship to know what you're signing up for and make that transition as seamless as possible.
Yeah, agreed. Because I've always said what Art is Not a Hobby is about is getting to the people who know how important art is to them and that want to create it, but aren't trying. And I always say, at least try. Let's show people that we can get together and you can do this, because look at all these wonderful people who are. So yeah, hopefully we get some people on our side and get to like looking at different resources and ways that they can do what they love. You know, that's really what it's about.
Yeah, you gotta lean into it. If you cultivate this skill set, it's innate, but it can also be nurtured and practiced and refined over time. It's so unique, like you have to go for it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, lastly, Skye, when did you realize that art was more than a hobby to you?
I realized art was more than a hobby, part one, in 2020 when I initially established my business. But I say part one because my end goal was, I gotta get back to full-time work. This is just sort of something in the interim. And then part two, present, art is definitely not a hobby, because now I'm potentially seeing what that would be like if I invested it fully and did not go back to full-time work.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, that's super cool.
Thank you.
I like the mix of colors.
Yeah.
The brown.
Oh yeah, you like the browns and the oranges.
Yeah.
Very neat. Thank you.
I like how you can see shape.
Shapes, yeah. Yeah, isn't it neat how you have these really jagged lines here in the background, but then the tree is very flowy and curvy?